Welcome back to Season 2 of the Netflix adaptation of Gerard Way's Spotify. I'm Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And we're actually talking about Season 2 of Umbrella Academy, which I think that I actually made that exact joke for Season 1. Because if there is one thing that makes this show stand out, it's that they're going to cram in here as much music as they possibly can. And I don't know why, but I cannot hear certain shows. Like, there's just some shows that I just cannot make out what anyone's saying, and this is one of them, so we had to put on subtitles when we were watching this. And anytime that song started playing, they would always put the lyrics to the songs up there.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit appreciated, because a lot of these songs I was like, oh, so that's what they were always saying in that song. Okay, I finally get that.
Real, they would like start off with like the title by whatever.
By that, and then it would start saying like what each lyric was, and I was like, you don't need to do just give me the title and we're good. You don't need to do that. It's very odd.
Yeah, it's like we need like an English
not
closed caption.
Yeah. Dialogue and then dialogue and lyrics are the two things that you need. But anyway, yeah, this has to be like Netflix's most expensive show just for all the songs that they lease out, which you always think that Netflix is doing incredibly well, but then you find out that they've been like in the red nonstop since they were created, and it's just
is that why their
stop
logo...
spending money! Stop it!
Maybe that's why their logo is has red font.
That's an awful... I heard you starting to make that joke.
And you tried to
and then
stop
I immediately was like, no! I was like, that joke's going to Paul! I have to save you! I got you out of that fire, and then you were like, no, the punchline's still in there, and then went back inside.
You're like number 5 trying to time travel.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Umbrella Academy Season 2. Very expensive show is what I'm getting at. But, man, I really enjoy the show, and what's weird is that previously, I didn't really have that much exposure to Umbrella Academy, but since then, I have read Volume 1. Haven't read Volume 2, which there's only 2 volumes, but I believe that's what this one's based off of. I know Volume 2 goes into the Kennedy assassination a little bit, which is what all this is about. So I'm like, okay, so did you adapt all of Volume 2, or did you adapt, like, 3 pages of Volume 2 and just decide, we can stretch this out. Because I don't know what they're going to do for Volume 3, because I don't think there is a Volume 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I honestly thought this season was going to end with, like, and everything is resolved. And if this does well, then we'll come back. But no, they come in here like, no.
Although, to be fair, if you fuck with time that much, there's going to be consequences.
I was seriously like, okay, this guy. Well, there is a bureau that's specifically made to like set time right, and I guess like with any show that we talk about, we're just going full spoilers on this one. Yeah, this is really only here for the people who have already watched the show. But yeah, at the end of this thing, everybody tune out if you don't want spoilers. At the end of this thing, when they return back home, and they find that like, no, everything is changed and everything is different now, it made me think about how like, all of Season 1 was, we have to change the timeline. And the Bureau kept coming in here and going, no, time has to play out the way it's supposed to play out. It has to work the way it's supposed to work. And then all of Season 2, they go into the past and like, well, we have to change the past. No, time is supposed to play out the way it's supposed to play out. And then they didn't listen. They killed off pretty much the entire Bureau. I don't even know who's left right now. There's like 2 people running the entire Bureau right now. They don't know how to fix anything right now. And then they get back to the present, and then they discover, no, everything is messed up now. Like, everything is wrong. So I kind of love that, like, this entire show has been them saying, no, Bureau, you're wrong. And then this season ends with them going, are we? Were we wrong? Oh, okay, so you want to change the timeline. Well, enjoy not having homes anymore and no one knowing who you are. All right, yeah, how'd that work out for you? Oh, Allison, you had a daughter? Oh, I wonder where she is right now. Probably not existing. Which that was my first thought about what's going to come up. And it's like, oh man, there's some creative stuff that they can do in the next season. Oh, but there's going to be one really sad thing that they do next season. Yeah, I have no idea what's going to go down next season with this thing, because this thing apparently it does do very well, but as I said, I didn't really have a lot of exposure to this other than just knowing that it exists. I read like the first issue and I didn't really care for it, and then I watched the show and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll give it another shot, and I gave it another shot. I was like, you know what, I'm good with this now. I actually do enjoy this thing now. But the other reason why it was kind of weird watching this season is because I had never really seen any show quite like this, and since season 1 came out, Doom Patrol Season 1 came out, and if you didn't watch our Doom Patrol recap episode, I came in here and I was like, yeah, this really is going to remind you of Umbrella Academy, because Umbrella Academy was heavily inspired by Doom Patrol, and then the guy who wrote Umbrella Academy went on to write Doom Patrol, so it's all just one big Ouroboros just eating itself right now. And
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny if, like, the time, like, because they screwed the timeline, like, they have to, like, deal with the Doom Patrol
oh,
now?
man! Oh, come on, DC's going under Netflix. You can buy that up right now, man. You can buy that for cheap. Actually, I think it's doing well on HBO, so HBO probably would not let that go. But, man, can you imagine, like, man, we keep talking about, comic book fans are always talking about how it's like, man, Marvel and DC, they're never going to cross over again. We want them to cross over, they're never going to cross over again. I would be very intrigued to see what is more likely. Another Marvel DC crossover? Or an HBO Max Netflix crossover? I would be very intrigued to see what would go down with that. Yeah. Oh man, but like I said, Netflix has been in the red for a long time. What if Netflix goes under, but this show is really well received, so they have to like divide up all their shows and sell them off to other people, and then HBO buys up not Doom Patrol, but
Umbrella
Academy, and then they do exist. Yeah, then they do exist in the same universe. That would be so man. And the weird thing is that DC, they will not cross over with Marvel. They have sworn off on that, but they'll cross over with any other comic book company out there. And Umbrella Academy is owned by Dark Horse, and they have crossed over with Dark Horse a lot. And it is stunning to me that, like, no one has pitched, yeah, Doom Patrol and Umbrella Academy. Just make it freaking... The guy who writes both of them works for both of you. Just make it happen. And then they team up with My Chemical Romance. That's the only other Gerard Way thing I can think of. Killjoys! They team up with the Killjoys. That's another book he wrote.
My Chemical Romance would just have like a cameo or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe they like crash a concert something.
In this universe that they create at the end of Umbrella Academy Season 2, My Chemical Romance never broke up. It happened. That's the reality I want to live in. Yeah, so at the end of the last season, we are time traveling in this review right now. We're going from the end of the show to possible future seasons, and now we should probably explain what happens in this season. Season 1 ends with they were trying to prevent the apocalypse, and they find out that the apocalypse was going to be caused by one of their own, Vanya, who was the one member of their team that they kept thinking did have powers. Turns out she did have powers, and their dad was a massive dick, so he basically didn't know how to deal with, oh yeah, you're the most dangerous member of the team, so I'm going to mentally abuse you until you can figure out how to make this work, and if you can't figure out how to make it work, I'll mentally abuse you more until you suppress your powers. Oh, who thought that wouldn't work out? Wow, Father of the Year, everybody. But yeah, she goes nuts, releases all her power, blows up the moon comes crashing down, destroys the Earth, and at the end of the fight, it's like, well, I can try and jump us back, but I don't know, like, last time I tried to jump forward, I went 4 years in the future into the apocalypse, and that didn't work out for anybody, and then when I tried to come back, I turned into a child, and I can't age anymore. Which I need to look up how old that actor actually is, because I remember in season 1, I was like, yeah, man, that actually is a kid, and he's like one of the most talented kid actors I've ever seen. This season, I will admit, I kept looking at him and was like, no, you're like 19, 20 years old, and you're like pretending to be 13, but I don't know if that's like he hit a growth spur or something.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, like,
or
kids.
if it's just he's that good of an actor, because he's playing a kid who has the mind of like a 55-year-old.
Yeah.
So I kept looking at that just like, God, I don't know. Like, you're making me believe you're a 55-year-old man. There was a moment in this season in which they are in the past and they actually run into his past time-traveling self.
Yeah, before he, like, screwed up, like, his age and everything.
And I kept looking at the younger version of him. Well, okay, I kept looking at our version of 5, the version who's 14 days older but is 40 years younger. And I'm like, I totally believe he is an older man than that guy. I totally believe he's the actual 55-year-old man, and you are not. Man, that actor is insanely talented. I kept seeing so many people online keep saying, oh man, I can't believe that Disney screwed up so bad by not getting this guy to be Artemis Fowl, and I'm just like, Yeah, but then that good actor would have been in a shit movie.
Yeah.
So we kind of dodged a bullet. At least that guy dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
That actor made the right choice.
Yeah, like, even if they did get a right actor, I don't think because of Disney,
Because
like...
that was the problem with that movie. If only we fixed that one thing, then all of a sudden, what the hell is that actor's name? Olaf, what's his name? Josh Gad. Opening up his mouth and then farting out rocks would have been totally acceptable. All that would have worked out. Judi Dench saying top in the morning to you as a cyberpunk leprechaun would have been fine.
It's just
this is a movie we're describing, everyone.
It's like plugging up one hole and then forgetting that, like, 20 other holes exist.
Job done! Yep. Are we even talking about this show anymore? But yeah, so at the end of it, they had to jump back in time to try and stop the apocalypse again, and they end up going back to the 1960s, but they each get separated, so they all land at different times.
Yeah, like a different year apart.
Like 1961, 1962.
But they all landed in the same location.
Yeah, all in the exact same alleyway in Dallas, and they do some really cool stuff with that. Like, there's a guy who becomes obsessed with this because, yeah, if they're laying at different times, there's this guy who eventually, like, notices, like, hey, didn't that happen last year? Like, wasn't that thing that I saw last year? And then he just, like, starts setting up cameras and starts observing this stuff. So it becomes, which I wish that guy had stuck around a little bit longer this season. He was really good. Which I kind of, man, it's so sad that that guy, he kind of had that feeling to him, like, he thought he was part of the team. And it's like, nah, man, you ain't gonna be part of this team. You know you're not. It's not gonna work out for you. And sure enough, it did not work out for him. But yeah, so they're all now trapped in the past, and I dig that this really showed, like, yeah, man, a lot of these guys have been here for so long, they've had an impact, they've changed some stuff around, but also a lot of them, like, stopped looking for a way back. Like Luther, who he kind of always, like, pictured himself being the leader of the team. I mean, he was number one. When they run into him, when Five finally gets back in time and he runs into him, he just goes, I don't care anymore. I don't care about any of this stuff anymore. Which the whole goal this season is that Five lands back in the past. But the time that he lands in, it's like 1963, but it's like a little bit after the present day that we're going to be in. Man, time travel's weird. But okay, we're all here. Everyone else lands here. Five lands here, and then he sees what's up, and then he gets sent back in time to here. And when he lands here, he sees it's another apocalypse.
Yes.
Now it's not the moon crashing in Earth, but now it's
nuclear warfare.
It's World War III.
Yeah.
The Russians attacked during the Cold War. Yeah, that's what it is. So now he has a set number of days to figure out how the apocalypse happens this time. And it's
like,
the
also,
exact
what's
same.
his name from the Bureau helped him out?
Yeah, that guy who was like the one guy who rebelled against the Bureau in season 1, he helps him out, but he's older when he appears, and he basically like says, yeah, listen, man, me and that waitress that split off there at the end, we had 40 years together. It was just fine. Do not feel bad about me at all. And if I gotta die right now helping you out, I had my life. And I was like, I was kind of like whenever they do something like that with a character, like, yeah, man, I have now, like, you know, that to be continued that I had there at the end? It all worked out, and I had my life, and I had my story, and now it's good, and now I'm going to do this one last thing for you. It's like, I always enjoy when somebody does that. I always enjoy when a show is willing to do something like that. Plus, we really didn't need more characters introduced this season. There were so many things going into this season that I was like, I completely forgot. I forgot about the, like, time travel bureau. Yeah. Until, like, they appear halfway through the first episode.
You forgot about the guy with the glass eye.
Oh, when that popped up, I turned to you, I was like, which I remembered eventually, but yeah, when there comes a moment in which they see the glass eye, and I was just like, I have no clue at all what that is about. But yeah, so the premise this season is exactly the same as the first season. It's that they see that the apocalypse is going to happen, and they realize that they only have a set number of days to figure out how it's going to happen, and it's a little bit weird to have the exact same plot for season 2 that you had in season 1, but I thought, you know what, there is a way that they can make this work. Because the Umbrella Academy, it's supposed to be weird. Far out there, crazy, weird ideas. And I know the like frequency that weird is supposed to exist on, so there came a moment in which I thought to myself, oh, I think I got this. I think it's gonna be revealed that the apocalypse is like a living thing. Like, the end of the world is a sentient concept, and it's chasing them.
Yeah, like,
it's following them through time, and eventually this is going to lead up to them not having to prevent the apocalypse, but actually having to stop whatever this living embodiment of the end times is.
like my theory was like, as long as the Umbrella Academy exists, there's always gonna be a doomsday.
Yeah, that's also a very good theory for that. So yeah, either of these theories worked, and then it turns out, no, it's just Vanya again. It's totally just Vanya again.
Damn it, Vanya!
Which, yeah, when that got revealed, man, I'm not gonna lie, I let out a big, oh, bum, bum, bum. Yeah, it kind of feels like that was a little bit of a letdown. That's like, yeah, it was literally that thing from the first season. Just all over again. Just that, like, she caused it again.
But this time it wasn't because of her, like, father. It was because of, like, the decade she lived in.
Yeah, it was the decade she lived in, but also, like, the government, which, that was one thing that I'm glad they finally brought that up, because that was driving me insane. That they're in the 1960s, she has amnesia, so she doesn't remember anything, and her name is Vanya, which is a Russian name. How the hell is everybody not just going, yeah, so, you're a spy, clearly. So the moment that finally did come up, like the FBI guy actually brought that up with her, holy crap, I felt good. It was like, oh, like finally just letting out that sigh of air that you've been holding in this entire time. Just, oh, thank God, someone did. Someone said that.
Yeah, but like in the, like, throughout the show, it's like revealed that like she doesn't really have amnesia. She just wants to forget what happened.
She has like self-induced amnesia, kind of.
Yeah. So it's like she remembers her name.
Yeah. So that would make sense why she remembers certain things. But again, I'm saying like for the other people around her, it's like, man, if somebody in the 1960s just pops up and goes, I don't remember anything about myself, and I have no history, and I have no records or anything. Also, my name is Russian. Everybody would be questioning that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very weird to me that no one questioned it, but eventually they did, and I was like, all right, good. I will also say I really enjoyed seeing what all the other characters in here were doing. I enjoyed seeing that Luther, like, again, just seeing Luther kind of broke it down, but I like that they actually kind of like fixed a big problem that I had with Luther in season 1, which is that his ape suit did not look good in season 1. In season 1, you could see the wrinkles of where they like had to like not plaster, but like God, was that spear gum? Is that
something
what's
like that?
Yeah, that's something they use for like connecting stuff to skin. Yeah, like you could see like the wrinkles around the neck of where the suit like cut off, and like a lot of times when we move the arms, like the foaminess of it could be seen. It did not look good. Here in this season, there's a good chunk of the first half of this season in which you see he is bare knuckle boxing, and they shave him down, but he's still like wearing the big inflated suit. It looks way better. It looks way better, at least to me.
Yeah.
Like there were a few times in which I could see like the little wrinkles around the neck, but that was like mostly later in the season after they decided to stop having him like take his shirt off all the time, and they wanted to show him like
I'm wondering if like the shirtless times, like he's just wearing like a green suit and they're just like CGI it.
You know, the CGI in the show is good. I don't think it is. It looks a little too real to me, but the CGI is good in this show, so it would not shock me that much. But I think it's more of just like later on, like the moment when she rips his shirt off to show his dad, like that was the moment I could clearly see the wrinkles. I think in that one it was like, you're only going to be on screen for like 5 seconds. We just need to like plaster this on like real quick. I think with the rest of them, they sat down and focused on it a lot more. And it was really impressive. The only character who I didn't really care for all that much this season was Klaus. Which in all fairness, I don't think I cared for him that much in the first season. Just simply because Klaus feels like too much. It feels like, I know what you're going for with the character, but man, it feels like you were just constantly like, well, we have to go even further with him. Like further and further with him. like there comes a moment in which I think they were all, it was him, Allison, and Vanya bonding, and I might be misremembering this, but didn't he say something about like, do you think that 5 was hot when he was an adult? And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, man. Like, it was something like that. It was some kind of a line about, like, finding 5, like, adult form to be attractive. And I was like, oh, God, nobody wants... That's too much, man.
Like, we just got over, like, Luther having a thing for his sister.
That was weird all throughout season 1. That was weird all throughout season 1.
I'm glad they addressed how weird it was in season 2,
yes,
though.
I am glad they addressed that. Because it's like, okay, you're not related by blood, but still, man, you guys grew up since you were babies together. You are brothers and sisters, practically. It's weird to me, and it will never not be weird. And man, I'm glad that Allison got a husband, and that they actually had like a connection this season, because it took my mind away from her and Luther. Like, I didn't have to stop and think about that.
Like, I feel like Allison is the kind of character who, like, wants to be in a relationship.
You kind of get that feeling, yeah.
Because, like originally she was married, but, like, she got divorced because, like, her husband caught her rumoring her daughter.
Yeah.
And, like, she didn't really have anyone, so I think she connected with Luther because it's like, oh, we have superpowers, we can't really share this with anybody else.
Yeah.
And then when she traveled back in time, it's like, oh, I don't have Luther or anybody else. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be alone, so I'm gonna, like, you know.
Like, literally, like, the first guy that asked her out, she was like, oh, okay, and then they have to get married. Like, yeah, I think you might be onto something. I think that she might be one of those people who just, like, they just feel like they need to be in a relationship. Mm-hmm. But let's see, I mentioned that I didn't really care for Klaus all that much, but I will say I did really like that, you know, previously, in the last season, he time traveled back to Vietnam, served in Vietnam, fell in love with someone, that person ended up getting killed. The one thing I did like about Klaus this season was that he was trying to find the guy who would grow up to be the guy he served in Vietnam with, and he's trying to
save his life.
He's trying to convince him, don't do this. In those moments, I was like, this is some good emotional stuff with Klaus. This is good. I actually really enjoyed that stuff. And poor Ben. Man, Ben is... That poor guy. I'm so glad they found a way to get him in the show more this season. But all this guy wanted was just to be with his family again. And man, this might be the reason why I dislike Klaus so much. Because Klaus, you know he's got the power to, like, make Ben visible. To let Ben interact with his family. Because you see him there in the beginning when he's playing cards with those guys, and he's using Ben to cheat, and then the guys turn on him, and he goes, all right, do your thing. And then he makes Ben visible for a couple seconds, and everybody stares at him like, what's that? And then he just goes, nah, I'm good. And then he fades away. I was like, you have the power to let his family see and hear Ben, and you're not doing it. That to me is so cruel. It's so insanely cruel.
I guess, but it's like if you think back, like, on, like, how Klaus is being trained to, like, see dead people and everything, and it's like he, like, deliberately, like, you know, gets drunk and everything because he doesn't want to.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Klaus does have a reason to be fucked up. I'm not saying that he doesn't. He absolutely does, but you can't, man, I don't think that this show ever really addresses how just, I don't want to keep saying the same word, but cruel it is to Ben that he's forcing this guy to, like, be dragged around by this drug addict this entire time, and all this guy wants to do is just reconnect with his family and just talk to his family, just hug his family again. And Klaus, who has the power to make that happen, is like, no. You're gonna help me do all the things that I want to do. Yeah, I think that's one of the other reasons why I really just dislike Klaus is that, don't get me wrong, again, he has a reason to be messed up, but I feel like the show never really addresses how bad that is, what he's doing to Ben. But yeah, let's see who else in here. Diego, I feel like they're making Diego dumber with each season.
Yeah.
But I also feel like they're making Luther a little bit dumber with each season.
It's like sometimes they don't know what to do with some of the characters.
Yeah, and there came a moment towards the end of this season in which I was like, okay, so Diego's dumb, Klaus is dumb, And now Luther kind of feels like he's become the dumb one, too.
Although I always got the idea that like Luther was just like a little puppy.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think that season 1, it's not that Luther was dumb. It's that Luther was what's the word?
Innocent?
No, more like
Loyal?
isolated. Like he doesn't have enough experience outside of his own world. He lives in a bubble, basically.
I mean, he literally lived on the moon for several years. So.
Literally. But even before that, he was the last member of the Umbrella Academy to quit. He was the last guy who was still there with their father, going out there doing these missions. I remember that moment in season 1 in which he had to tell his dad, like, I'm the only one still here. Oh, never mind then. Yeah, so I feel like it's more just like he's been raised in a bubble, so he doesn't have that experience. But now we've seen, like, he's been here for like 2 years, and I'm kind of getting the experience, I'm kind of getting the feeling that it's like, no, I don't really think that you're like, I think the feeling you're kind of just dumb too. So now like half this team is just kind of dumb. But yeah, I feel like, okay, you need to pick the one dumb one. And granted, you've made these 3 dumb ones dumb in different ways, like Luther's isolated, Diego's got an inflated sense of self, and Klaus is just all messed up. But it's like, okay, man, you gotta have one of them get a little bit smarter, which Diego does do some smarter things in here. And I do like that at the end of this, he is kind of like standing up and going like, I'm the one who made all this happen. Like, I figured this stuff out. So I hope that in season 3 they kind of like continue to like push in those directions. Let's see.
You want to talk about Lila?
About Lila.
The girl.
Oh, yes.
Diego's girlfriend.
The 8th member, yes.
Yes. It's like, that's the thing that always, like, bothered me. Like, they always mention in the introduction, like, this many kids were born on this exact same day all throughout the world.
Yeah.
But then,
you only got 7 of them.
Yeah, we only got 7. It's like, so what happened to the rest of these
You know what's
babies?
really weird?
Like,
before it gets revealed, she was one of them, like 2 episodes before that got revealed. That thought occurred to me as well. Like, it hadn't really occurred to me throughout this entire thing. It was like, yeah, they'll probably get into it eventually. And then in this season, like, that was my thought in the first season. In the first season, like, yeah, well, eventually it'll come back up. And then in season 2, because it's dealing with all the time travel stuff, I never even thought about that fact. I never thought about it at all. But then, like, 2 episodes before it gets revealed she's one of those kids, I had that thought about, hey, wait a second, there's a lot of other kids out there.
well, not yet, because they time travel back to the 60s, but...
Exactly, but there will be. Yeah, it was so weird to me, but then there comes that moment in which the Umbrella Academy is there, and they're saying, how can that be? We're the only ones. And then you kind of realize, oh, their dad told them they were the only ones. And somebody out there kept all of it secret. Like, somebody out there made sure nobody found out about anybody else in this, like, with these powers. Nobody else who was born on that day. Like, they covered it up. And in this season, you see, the father was involved in some secret organization that is, like, you know, the shadow organization that controls the world. You know, all those crazy conspiracy theories. Yeah, you see that he was involved in that, so I was like, yeah, those guys would have the power to, like, keep all this stuff under wraps. So yeah, I really dug that turn there. I thought that was great. And she really which at first I was like, oh, she feels a little bit too broken because she's got all their powers. But then it's like, no, she has the ability to copy whoever she's going up against. It's like, oh, well, that makes sense. That's actually a unique power, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Cool. I'm glad with that. And I dig her backstory that she was raised by the time bitch. I don't want to use that word, but it's like, oh man, you see all the horrible shit she does. And not just horrible shit she does, but just like, she doesn't care about anyone. Like, she will tell someone to their face, like, no, I don't care about you. No, I don't. No. No, I'm only manipulating you until I can get all these things I want. Yeah, I really dig a lot of things about her, and I want to see what comes from that. Because of the way that this thing ends, it ends with all of them dying, but then, like, she realizes, no, they're my family, you lied to me this whole time, I'm on their side. But then 5 time travels back just a few seconds, prevents all of them from dying, but then also prevents her from learning that last little bit of the puzzle piece that she needed to go, oh my god, I've been lied to this entire time, and I should actually be on their side. Like, she's almost there, but then that last thing that needed to happen in order for her to switch over, it doesn't happen now. So I'm like, oh shoot, so she is just a huge X factor right now. We don't know what's gonna happen with her now. But also, at the end of this, you see that they arrive back home, and I was like, what's the Umbrella Academy? The Umbrella Academy doesn't exist. No, we're the Sparrow Academy. And then you see Ben there with an emo haircut. But then you see like 6 other people suddenly appear out there. So they're like, oh shoot, so this is going to be a world where what happened to our 6 characters, because now these 6 characters were the ones who got them, because yeah, there were that many babies that got born at the exact same time with these powers. He just randomly picked 6 of them, and it's like, well, that was them. And I love that when they pop up, he's like, I was expecting that you would show up. And this means that they were told, okay, you're going to go and you're going to adopt us. And eventually it got to a point when she said, all right, fine, I guess it's time for me to go and adopt those kids. But he just picked the wrong kids. So what happened to the ones, what happened to our guys?
Yes, I'm also curious about what happened to like older 5.
Yes, because he kind of got thrown in there, but things got changed around a little bit.
Yeah.
And with the way the time travel works, like he's still out there. It's still a possibility. He's in the wind right now. It could still be a thing that happens. Let's see. But another thing is that I mentioned that the reason why they didn't know that there were other kids like them that existed is because, yeah, there had to have been some kind of like a shadowy organization that prevented it. This season, we see that because they changed the timeline, their father goes to that shadowy organization at the end of this, and he just goes, no, I'm done. Oh yeah? Well, what are you gonna do? And then he peels off his mask, which in the comics, I don't remember if it was revealed in season 1, but in the comics, they do mention that he is an alien.
I did, like, in the season 1, like, I saw him, like, opening a jar of like glowy things and then like going out.
Yes, I remember there was like a brief moment in which we saw him on another planet.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, there was that. I do remember that. Okay.
Yeah, but they didn't show him as an alien.
They didn't show that, yeah. But in this, you see him take it off, and he puts his mask down, and then you just hear him like basically murder the entire Shadow organization. Like, okay, now there's nobody to cover this up in the modern day. So it's like, does that mean that there's now like just 60 of these kids running around doing stuff? Who knows? Yeah, man, there's so many questions for the next season. I did dig all the stuff they did with like having this be around Kennedy. I think that like if you're a big like history or conspiracy buff, there's gonna be some interesting stuff for you to catch up on in here. It kind of bummed me that Jack Ruby never came back around because of the fact that Luther was working for Jack Ruby. There comes a moment in which he kind of crosses Jack Ruby, and they're like, man, you gotta get out of here because I'm not gonna be on Jack Ruby's bad side. Like, you gotta leave this place now. And then Jack Ruby never comes back around. Like, that never comes back.
Yeah, I'm also curious about, like, the autistic child that, like, Vanya was taking care of.
You mean, like, what's going to end up happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that was a question about what would happen, like, and that would be one of those things that's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like,
when you think about it, he would probably still be alive in the modern day.
Yeah.
So we could find out what happened with him. I'm just talking in terms of, like, story stuff that would have had to have happened in season 2. Yeah, what happened with Jack Ruby there? That feels like a plot thread that never got followed up on. But then again, that's another thing. You gotta think about like all the things that they changed with history now.
Yeah.
Because like Allison was involved in the civil rights movement, and there comes a moment when she just goes, "Screw this! I'm using my powers." So it's like, okay, how did that affect things? Because if you're willing to do an entire season that is all about the Kennedy assassination, I would not be shocked if the next season they just come in here and go, and let's really delve into how they messed with time and how things change and how things are different right now. Like, I would not be shocked if there comes a moment where they like look at like the history books and they're just like, that guy was never president, that guy was never president, that guy was never president. Like just writing down like really go through like the list of like who are all the people who were maybe gonna be president and then they did, and where are some of the other things that could have happened in history and then did. I would be very intrigued by that. I've always been kind of interested in alternate history stories. I think there's a lot that they can do next season. Anything else to talk about? We've been going for a while. I just changed the battery in our microphone before we started recording, so I'm really hoping that all this wasn't lost. Yeah, anything else?
I don't know, we pretty much covered the basics.
I feel like we have, yeah. Yeah, there's Klaus and his call, there's Allison and the Civil Rights Movement.
Oh, Ben crossed over, so like...
Oh, yeah. Man, again, Ben, that guy, when all of them are trying to get to Vanya there at the end. They're like just crawling, and none of them can reach her. And then that footstep comes down, and it's revealed as Ben. And it's like, yeah, ghosts aren't affected by like energy blasts. They can walk through anything. And then like the whole he can possess Klaus thing that they've been setting up throughout the season, it comes back around when she tries to possess Vanya. Yeah, I really dug that. I thought that was a great way for his character to go out, but I'm glad that they found a way for him to not go out. Just bring him back because, man, again, that character, it kept feeling like he should have a much bigger role. And when this season started and you see that opening shot of all of them fighting off the Russians, and then you see like the ghost of Ben with his big Cthulhu tentacles ripping into them. I looked at that and I just went, oh, okay, I see it. All right. They're setting up that Ben is now going to be here throughout the entire season. And then, no, he's not because Klaus is an asshole. Although, speaking of things that got set up, I love that, like, he kept talking to Klaus and they're like, who are you talking to? Klaus kept talking to Ben and they're like, who are you talking to? He's like, oh, Ghost of Cowboys. Texas is lousy with him. And then there comes that moment in which Klaus is falling out of the air in the final episode. He's like, someone catch me, someone catch me, someone catch me. And then he just stops and looks and there's two cowboy ghosts. They caught him. Like, that's a good setup. That was a good setup. Oh, I applaud a good setup. By the way, I had this theory. I had a theory that the thing that was going to cause the end of the world was going to be that Kennedy didn't get assassinated, and that led to like something happening that escalated the Cold War, and then the big twist was going to be 5 now has to take them back in time again. And now they have to be the ones that assassinate Kennedy. And what my theory was, is that you keep having Diego, the guy who wants to be a hero more than anything, the guy who wants to be the hero, like, to prove it to the world, I'm a hero. He's been trying to stop the Kennedy assassination this entire time. He got put into a nut house because, which, sorry, I should not say the term.
Well, that's what they called it.
That's what they call it in this show. That's why I'm calling it that. But he got put into a mental institution because he was trying to kill Lee Harvey Oswald, and he was telling everybody this guy's trying to kill the president. We all know the story about the Kennedy assassination, that like to be shot at from the book depository, there is no way the bullet could have curved like that. The way that he's shot, the bullet could not have, to be shot from the book depository, the bullet would have to have curved in order to hit him the way that did. We know that Diego's power is he can curve metal. He can make metal like, he's kind of like Magneto, but to a much smaller degree. Like, he can't lift something big and metallic, but he can take a small thing and make it move. So he throws knives at people as his powers and makes them move. But in that opening shot in which you see all the members of the team taking on like the Russian soldiers, there's a moment in which he's surrounded and they all shoot at him, and then he curves all the bullets around so it shoots all the other Russian soldiers. I was convinced this day is going to end with the reason that World War III happened is because they stopped the Kennedy assassination, and the big twist is they have to go back in time, and now Diego, the guy who wanted to be a hero more than anything, he has to go to the book depository and he has to create the magic bullet. He has to make it curve. I was like, that's set up you show me all the steps of how this is going to happen. And then no, it's just Vanya. Again, I was like, oh, really? Okay. All right, sure. It's Vanya.
Let's hope that doesn't happen again in season 3.
Yeah. This time Klaus is the one who ends the world. Oh man. No, I just had a weird thought. We saw that like 6 shadows there at the end, and in my mind, like I said, I was like, oh yeah, and 6 other kids who were born on that day. What if it's not? What if it actually is them?
Yeah, like alternate universe, like.
But like they're the good versions of them, like the ones who didn't get screwed up. Like Luther doesn't have the big ape body because he didn't get sent away to live on the moon.
Oh, so you mean like Reggie was a good father, or?
Yeah. I like that you call the good version of him Reggie and not Reginald. I like that. But yeah, like what if that happens? What if like it's like, yeah, Klaus isn't a drug addict because his dad didn't shove him into like tombs to make him talk to big scary ghosts when he was a kid. What if Vanya has total power and control over her powers? Now she's the greatest superhero the world ever knew because her dad wasn't a total asshole to her. Man, I'm very intrigued now. I didn't even think about that until right now. I am very intrigued. Ooh, man. Yes, I really hope there's a season 3. There probably will be because this is apparently doing incredibly well. But Yeah. Anything else to throw in here at the end?
I don't think so. We pretty much like covered a lot.
Yeah, we've covered a lot. For you guys who have been sad that we have not been doing more post Geek Out reactions because, there's not movies anymore. Which, again, just we have to throw this out here like I do every single episode of the post Geek Out reaction this year. AMC has said that they will be reopening theaters. They said they will be reopening theaters on, I think, the 28th now. I think that they are set to reopen on the 28th, and they said that movie tickets for that weekend will be only 20 cents. Fuck that shit. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. I don't care.
Just rent out the entire movie theater.
Yeah, I will call them up and rent out every movie theater, every AMC in the New York area. I will buy up every ticket to prevent people from going in there. Don't do it. Yeah, man, it's nuts. Which, by the way, 20 cents is apparently what movie tickets cost. Back in the 1917, 1918, so it's
like when movies first were invented, or like movie theaters.
I think that's what they're going for, but I don't think that they realize. Yeah, that's the last time that we had a pandemic, you idiots. I don't think you realize how this is matching up. So yeah, no, I don't care if New Mutants is actually finally coming out. I'm waiting for that shit to go on Disney Plus. I don't care.
Or we could pay to watch the live action version of Mulan.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, we will review that because I'm not going to a movie theater. No, we're not, Peach. No. Say bye, everyone, Peach.
Bye.
Bye.